Hello, welcome back to the Trust Your Worth podcast, the podcast that helps you tap into the power of knowing your worth. My name is Brittany, and thank you so much for being here with me today. So I am in a different spot. If you're watching this episode, I am in my living room only because I just got my carpets cleaned today, and they are not dry yet, and I did want to record this. So here I am in a new place, and if you didn't know, all of these episodes are come out at the same time on YouTube. So if you want to see my beautiful face, check me out on there. But today, I'm so excited for this episode. We are talking about such a great film. Like, the writing is great. It's so well done. And we can clearly see a worth journey that the main character especially goes on. But there are some things we can learn about worth from the other characters as well. So we're going to get into that on today's episode. But before that, last week, if you missed it, we talked about music, the emotional regulator. Specifically, when you are sad, you should put on a sad song because it will help you get through that hard time. So if that's something you want to check out, that is season 3, episode 8. But today we are talking about The Devil Wears Prada and the worth lessons we can learn from the movie. I would recommend you watch this movie before you listen to this episode. If you haven't, please go do it because obviously spoilers. But how old is this movie? I think it's 2004. Let me double check. Let me check my movie trivia knowledge here. Oh, I was close. It came out in 2000. What? Oh my days. The first one came out in 2006. Holy cow. I was literally in my first year of college. Wow. 20 years ago. That's awesome. Oh, I love that. So The Devil Wears Prada is about a young woman named Andy Sachs who wants to be a writer. And she gets a job just almost by happenstance. She just throws a resume out there and Human Resources gets her this job at Runway magazine, which she clearly is not qualified for. Maybe for like the assisting stuff, but as like a lover of fashion, she knows nothing about this crazy world. So she shows up being like, if I can survive this job for a year, then I can work anywhere I want. So I'm just going to put in my time in this crappy job and then use it to get to where I want to be. And throughout the film, well, especially at the beginning, we see how she does not fit in. So she just graduated from college. So my guess, she went at 19, she's like 22 years old, probably fresh out of college, just graduated. And this is her first job. And she knows that she wants to be a respectable writer. Like, she wants to be a journalist. She wants to be writing the hard-hitting pieces. And that is her dream. This job is definitely not that. But I love how she has this clear direction for her life and what she wants. Like, she knows it at this point. She's very clear about it. And she tells her boyfriend, Nate, who we will talk about because there was a lot of debate on whether he's a good boyfriend or not, but we'll get into that later. But specifically, again, Andy knows who she is. So she gets this job and she's making fun of it. She's like, this job is crazy. These women that I work with, they're glamazons. They call them clackers, like, because their heels clack on the marble floors that they walk in this building. And she's making fun of them. And her boyfriend's like happy to join in because he supports her. And he understands that this is just a stepping stone to kind of both where they want to go. Like, she wants to be a writer. He wants to be a big chef right now. He's working as a line cook. And so they're just starting out. They're young. They're so young. 22. Heaven knows. I started college at 17 years old. And I didn't know what I wanted. I changed my major so many times. But yeah, when you're young, it's cool to see that she has a clear direction for her life. So she gets in there and she gets talking to by her boss. She meets Emily, who is the first assistant, kind of her day-to-day guide to this job. And Emily is a workaholic. We can learn from Emily as well. Emily, clearly this is her dream job, but it has come at a great cost to Emily's personal life, which I'm sure she does not have. There is no work-life balance. So Emily struggles with, especially in the end, is that without her job, who is she? She doesn't know. So when she loses it, basically almost literally dies for this job because she gets hit by a car later, which is awful, and almost dies for this job. Also starving herself from this job, which another thing, Emily personifies kind of the icky things about the fashion industry, like perpetuating. She literally says, I'm just one stomach flew away from my goal weight, which is not healthy at all. So Emily has a very unhealthy relationship with her work and with other people, and I'm sure has this very one-sided element of self-worth, which is namely she only derives worth from how she is doing in her career, and it's not great. Especially when she loses it, then who is she? Because as we can see, if you tie your worth to something and you lose it, then of course you're going to struggle to know who you are. That happened to me. I grew up as an athlete. I defined myself as an athlete. And when I went to college, I was so lost because I didn't have my schedule. I wasn't on a team anymore. I had no idea what to do with all this freedom. And I struggled for my first year of college until I found a new outlet, which was dance. And that became my identity as I was still kind of in this version of self-discovery. Don't mind my kitties. They're probably going to pop in and out. So Emily probably struggles with her sense of self-worth, especially without her work and this weird obsession of like, just work hard. And that's kind of the theme of this movie, that we follow Andy as she goes through. But let's talk about the big boss, Miranda. Oh my days. Miranda is a narcissist. She believes that everyone around there is there to serve her. And this idea of her being the center of the universe is perpetuated by her entire staff actually doing whatever it is she wants. And she gets what she wants probably like 90% of the time because she doesn't care about hurting people. And she kind of, I think, enjoys it. We can sort of see that on how she treats others and is very cold, especially to Andy in the beginning, because Andy showed up to a fashion job not in the proper attire, I would say. Because even though it's not specifically said that there's a dress code in that office. Like, you have to know something about the industry. And Andy just doesn't care at that point. And then one of my favorite speeches that Miranda gives about the cerulean sweater that Andy just pulled out of a bargain bin because she decided it months before in that exact room that she's in. And Andy is like, oh my gosh, this is bad news bears. And he just gets wrecked. And Miranda belittles her and makes her feel completely stupid, because I felt that I was embarrassed for Andy in that moment. But such a great speech. Like, in terms of acting, like Meryl Streep, come on, she kills that. But as Andy goes through along the job, she makes a friend in Nigel who knows exactly who he is. He loves his job, but again, probably he has no work-life balance, because he literally says, like, tell me when your personal life implodes, then you'll really be succeeding. And that's not good, guys. That's not good. You need to have balance if you want to thrive and be happy. But she talks to Nigel, and Nigel calls her out, because Andy kind of comes to a crossroads where she doesn't want to change to be good at this job because she sees it as a stepping stone, and she's just miserable. But then Nigel calls her out and is like, you're not trying. You're not. If you were trying, what would that look like? And then clearly we see her trying when we get this beautiful montage of Andy in a million different couture, fashionable outfits just walking on her way to work. So she has drunk the Kool-Aid. She's starting to sell her soul for this job. We can see the toll that it starts to take, and especially her relationships. So at that dinner, when her friends are supportive, they're like, I love your job. She gives that beautiful Marc Jacobs bag to Lily, and the other guy gets some perfume, and she gives an $1,100 phone to Nate, and Nate is just like not having it. Like, he's disappointed, and they make this joke that they do take a little too far. But when Miranda calls her and they steal her phone, Andy's clearly scared for her life. Like, her life has become the job, and at this point, Andy is not willing to admit that she's starting to enjoy the job, that she's finding that she's good at it, and she didn't realize how satisfying it could be to be this good assistant. But at the same time, because we know she's getting belittled, we know that she's miserable because she's literally on call 24/7, and Miranda is not grateful at all. She never praises her. She's just like, get this done, do it. And Andy is starting to derive her worth from Miranda and how Miranda sees her. Because we can see this when Miranda asks Andy to take the book to her house for the first time. And Andy's like, I've done it. She's super excited, and she gets in there and she makes a huge mistake, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. And she even calls Nate because she gets to take the book, but then, interrupts a very private moment for Miranda, and the next day is like, oh no, I'm fired. And so she's like, well, I give up. I'm just going to quit. And Nate's like so excited because Nate is hearing all the complaints. Like, he gets sort of the one-sided story of how she's miserable at her job. So he's like excited for her because that's what Andy has been telling him. So the next day, Miranda says, you have to get Harry Potter book 7, which isn't even in print. And Andy knows she's getting fired then. And so hence the call. But then she's able to get it done, and you can see how Andy is very resourceful and can anticipate Miranda's needs, and she knows Miranda very well and gets the books bound and on the trains for her girls, and she's so excited that she gets to keep her job. She's like, oh, I'm good at this. And I don't think Andy recognized the satisfaction that would come from being able to be good at pleasing Miranda. So when Nate gets there and she has not quit her job, and he spent all this money on fancy grilled cheese and strawberries, Nate's like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? And Andy isn't willing to accept at this point that she might want different things, and not being honest with herself or with her partner. That's why when we get to the end and we see Andy, who is willing to hurt Emily's dream in order to go, the car accident was kind of like in her favor when Emily gets hit by a car. But like, if that hadn't happened, she would have had to mess Emily's life up in order to please Miranda and go on the trip to Paris. And that's shady. We can see how she becomes shady in the end, and she's burning bridges left and right. Like, she misses her boyfriend's birthday, which is like a huge no-no in my book. Like, if someone's important to you, like, you have a choice. You don't miss their birthday, especially if you are in love with them and they're your actual partner, and she misses his birthday. Like, that's crazy. For her job, nah. No, she could have made a choice, but the choice she made was to please Miranda and to burn all these bridges along the way to Paris. I think the line that Andy realizes, like, she has lost everything and recognizes the actual cost is when Miranda says, you remind me of myself. And Andy's like appalled because she just watched Miranda ruin Nigel's life, like, chance to go out on his own, and she just curb stomped his dream, and he's been waiting probably about 20 years or something. I think he says it, but it's like 15 or 20 years to break out of Runway and do his own thing, and he thinks he gets the chance, and Miranda's like, absolutely not. I'm going to save myself instead of saving my friend. That's shady. And Andy's like, I could never do that. And Miranda tells her, you already have to Emily, which is true. Like, she had the choice to let Emily go instead of her, but Andy chose to go. And so Andy realizes that Miranda is living a shell and that Miranda's life isn't the life that she wants, which is Miranda being alone. Yes, she has all this status and wealth on the outside, like financially she's stable. She is in the public eye. She has fame. She seems to have it all, but her personal life is in shambles. And Andy looks at her and is like, no, I don't want to ruin people's lives, because essentially Miranda did ruin Nigel's life. Andy doesn't want that. And when she walks away from Miranda, Miranda can't even fathom that somebody would give that up. Until later she processes it, I think, when she sees Andy again and Andy gets the unheard of smile with a laugh from Miranda. But again, I think in that moment, Miranda thinks that, like, looks at Andy and is like, I made this woman. Like, so I'm so proud of Andy for recognizing her worth and recognizing that a fulfilling and happy dream life cannot happen if you are burning relationships left and right. It cannot happen at the cost of others' happiness. Like, Andy can't live with herself. Maybe a narcissist can, but it's not healthy. So I'm proud of Andy for finally recognizing her worth and leaving the environment that made her so miserable. And I think she learned a lot of things about herself and was able to make those corrections in order to get going on her actual dream life, which is writing. And she was able to get the dream job in the end, to write for another publication that she was interested in. I'm happy that she recognized that her worth didn't have to be tied to Miranda and her usefulness to Miranda. And when she finally recognized it, hooray for Andy! Hooray! So let's talk about her boyfriend, though. And a lot of people debate that, like, Nate is the real villain of this. Like, he's such a bad boyfriend. He refused to grow with her and didn't agree with, like, Andy's changes. But first of all, Nate was clear about what he wanted, and as Andy changed, she didn't communicate with him that she was happy about these changes. All Nate got was, oh, I hate my job, I hate my job. He never heard once that, like, no, I actually enjoy my job and I'm good at it and I'm trying my best to, like, be cool about this, like, be happy about it. So when Andy does change, I think they both could have communicated better at, like, the things they wanted as the things they wanted changed. And that's totally okay, because, like, you're not the same person you are 10 years from now. Even within a year, you can change so much and your dreams can change, and that's okay. But especially when you're in, like, a couple and you're not communicating, like, that you are enjoying these changes and that you might need to reevaluate, like, kind of where your dreams are going. The real lack that's going on between Andy and Nate is the lack of communication, that they aren't being clear about what they want in their dreams. I think Nate nails it on the head when he's like, I wouldn't care if you were pole dancing, just have some integrity about it, like, own up to it. And Andy is so in denial about where she's at that she refuses to. She's like, no, I still want to be a writer. I still want to. She's like, no, you don't. You like this job. Like, just be honest about it. And that's really what the failing was. And I think we can be a little kinder to Nate, because he was not getting all the information because Andy was withholding it. And also not great when you are withholding relationship from your significant other. Like, probably not a good idea that you should be with them if you can't tell them the truth about what you're feeling. So if that's happening, no. So it's good that they broke up. I don't like that she went straight to, like, the other guy in Paris. That, like, that gave me an icky feeling. Like, technically they were broken up, but it was still, they were on it. I don't know. I didn't like it. That really bothered me about Andy's choices. But, like, she wasn't thinking clearly. She's definitely in a constant dysregulated and high anxiety state. So I think it was harder for her to make decisions. I'm not making an excuse for her. I'm just saying that her decisions were not good when she was under the thumb of Miranda. So what is the takeaway? Well, I think it's important to recognize where you derive your worth from. Is it in your career? Do you tie your worth to how you're doing in sports? It's important to remember that your worth never changes, because your job can change in an instant. Like, I'm a dental hygienist. I literally injured my thumb. What if like that was it? That's my whole career. Like, what if I like seriously injured it? I have to change my career. And I derived my whole worth from it. Am I less of a human because I can't do my job anymore? No, I still have worth. I still have value. You are not unworthy because somebody doesn't like you. You are not unworthy because your job isn't what you thought it was going to be. You are not unworthy because maybe you can't physically do what you want to, what you used to be able to do anymore. You're still worthy of love. You're still enough. You always have been, and you always will be. So please do not forget it. And that is the takeaway from The Devil Wears Prada. It's try not to be a workaholic, and also that relationships are important. And if you want to live your best life, you're gonna have to have a good support system around you. We are meant to be in a community, and if you lose your community, as Andy did, then I hope you take steps to rebuild it or find people who support you, because in the end you will need a family that you create in order to be fulfilled and to be happy and to live your best life. Because at the end of your life, you're not going to be like, hey, oh, I wish I worked harder at my job. No, everyone's like, I wish I had more time with my kids. I wish I had more time with my family. So what is really important is the relationships you have, and do your best to try and stay away from narcissists. If you want to know more about narcissism and recognizing someone who is a narcissist and how to get away from narcissist abuse, Dr. Ramani is, I'd say, the internet's expert on this. So I'll link some of her videos in the show notes. She knows her stuff, and if you are struggling with those things, please seek professional help. I am not a professional. Please seek the help that you may need, whether that's therapy from a certified therapist, if that is something that you may need. Okay, so thank you for the worth lessons from The Devil Wears Prada. What are some of the things that you may have picked up on as you watch this movie? And I'm excited to see the second one. Maybe we'll have a part 2 after I watch the second one. But your worth work this week is to find out where your conditions of worth are. So we've done this before. If you need a little more insight, check out season 1, episode 1, self-worth versus self-esteem. But it's a statement that starts with, I have worth when, I have worth if, and then see what you are tying your worth to. Like, be honest with yourself. And then we have to change your pattern of thinking after that to, I am worthy even if such and such happens. I have worth even if blah, blank, blank, blank. So write it down, have a little journal sesh, and really recognize what you're tying your worth to. And if it's other people, if it's someone in your life, if it's something in your life that you're doing, then recognize that and try and trust your own worth. Trust that you were enough, and recognize that you're worthy, that you've always been worthy. Okay. As always, you can find me at trustyourworth.com or on Instagram and TikTok at trustyourworthpodcast. If no one has told you today, you are a gorgeous, beautiful soul, and the world is so lucky to have you in it. And don't forget to trust your worth. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Love you. Bye.